Okay.
Okay.
Are you seeing the itinerary
Yeah.
there? Great. Let me get to the top of it. Okay. So you probably all know by now you can go to my website here. That's the bike and barge one. And that's the best way to click, and that's where the booking link is to sign up, as well as the itinerary. So I'm going to jump into the itinerary here. And then I'm going to go to the booking link next, just to kind of go over what is included. Um, there we go. So this trip, and this is also for the benefit. Some of you have already signed up, but some will watch the recording later. So just want to make sure I go over everything. The 7 night trip is $38.99 per person, and you can sign up for a shared room, whether you have a roommate or whether you're willing to be assigned a roommate. As a solo person, you don't have to pay the private room surcharge if you don't want to. And we're all pretty friendly. We've had people sign up on this. Actually, Barb signed up without knowing anybody the first time she came. But so you can just sign up, or the private room is an additional 1,600. I only have one private room left actually for Croatia. So I would have to try to get more if we need more than that. And then the additional Montenegro extension is 2,300 per person. And if you wanted your own room, that would be another 700. And the deposit is 700. And if you that's for the 7 night trip. And if you're going to do the whole trip, it's $1,000. And that will hold your space till June 9th. And then I think final payments due between the 10th and the 15th. So it's refundable until then. And once it's paid in full, it's non-refundable. However, I do require insurance. Insurance, I have listed that you can book with me. You can also, if you have an annual plan or want to book your own or have other resources, that's fine. Just send it to me to make sure that it has kind of the minimum of what I require. Um, I I did have 3 people have to cancel my Scotland trip last year, and they all got their money back with the insurance. It was all for medical reason. Well, one was medical, but it was for her roommate, so both can cancel under that situation. It also covers you for any immediate family member. So something happened with parents or something happened with kids that was medical and kept you from traveling. That is a covered reason for you to cancel. What it and it's your medical coverage when you're traveling, which I did have a pretty big instance of needing this past year, not for me, but for a client. So that's all the reasons why I do require it. Um, and what it is not, it's not what I have quoted is not cancel for any reason insurance. They do have that, and we can talk about that if you want to look into it, but it's not for change of mind. It's not because the euro went up or because Middle East conflict is making you nervous. There are other reasons, but I basically boil it down to medical, because other reasons are things like jury duty or just kind of strange things. So it's not canceled for any reason. Yeah, Barbara.
Um, Timing on the insurance. Is it when we get our, like, I'd like to get it go through you, but is it when I get my airline ticket or what's the timing on getting the insurance?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way I have it set up now with the pricing actually doesn't include the air. So that would be another thing if you want to talk to me, because I would need to change the quote. The way it's set up now, because it's a group plan, you don't have to pay for it until final payment, which is
Okay.
nice because then you're not out that expense. They cover pre-existing conditions as long as you get the insurance before your final payment. So I always I collect your money, I run the policies, and then I make your final payment for that reason, so that you're covered
Okay.
pre-existing. And that includes pre-existing for the immediate family member. So if you have a parent with an issue, they are covered for pre-existing as long as I run the insurance before your final payment. But you're free to get your air now. If you needed the insurance to cover the air, then that would be different. So talk to me. But otherwise, typically you have a year to use your air credit. And sometimes that can be, people opt for that just because it's less expensive than insuring the air and the trip. The other thing you can do is when you buy the air, it almost always offers an option for insurance right then. You could also do that and just insure the air separately, and then the other insurance would cover everything on the trip. Okay, so what is included? On this trip, we're staying in all 4-star hotels. It's 3 nights in Dubrovnik, 2 nights in Hvar, and 2 nights in oh, I have that Dubrovnik on there twice. Sorry, it's three. I'll have to fix that. 3 nights in Split, 2 in Hvar, and 2 in Dubrovnik. And breakfast is included for all days. Couple other meals are included. Our first day, we have a private cooking class, and that includes a market visit and lunch. And the third day, we have a wine tasting with a food pairing. There's actually an oyster tasting in there too, and then a farewell dinner. So those are included, but other meals are not. We have a air conditioned motor coach just for our group's use. We have a dedicated tour director that's with us the whole time, but then also we have local guides as we go different places like the Split walking tour, Krka National Park, Trojer, Hvar, Dubrovnik. Those all will have their own guides as well. We're going anything that's on the itinerary, the entrance is included, like Krka National Park, the Oyster Farm, the places that will go on the walking tour in Dubrovnik. That's all included. If you are doing the extension, then again, it's the four nights in the hotel with breakfast. Only one other meal is included there, a lunch the day we go out to Lake Skater Lake. We'll still have a motor coach, we'll have guides. The transfer back to the airport is included for that one. I'll go over that. And all the entrances. We have a wine cellar tour, a boat ride, cable car up to the top of Kodor, and lake cruise, and all of that is included. So what's not included? Insurance we talked about. Tips, I typically will give you a guide of how to do that. What I've started doing with this kind of trip is letting you know what I think is the right amount, and we put it into a kitty, and then I tip the drivers and guides as we go along so that you're not all trying to pull out a couple euros every time.
That's great.
It's all trial and error as we go along. We didn't, then on the Christmas cruise, for instance, we didn't do that because it wasn't that kind of trip. So it just depends on the trip. The transfers are separate, and partly I do that because people sometimes come in early, stay late. Maybe they're coming in with 2 people or 6 people. So based on your schedule, I can arrange your transfers. And I do have the prices on that when you sign up. And then we'll go over the itinerary, but there's optional activities in Hvar, in Dubrovnik, and in Budva, and those aren't included. And there's a price on those, but basically all the things that we do together are included. And in terms of entry requirements, passport, the EU only requires 3 months left on your passport. Some airlines actually want you to have 6. So I would say just make sure your passport doesn't expire this year or into the first 3 months of next year. And they are the ETIAS, which is the electronic, it's not a visa, but the electronic app for Europe that you might be hearing about, has not started yet. They're talking about the last quarter this year, but it's still not off the ground. So I will let you know if that ends up being a requirement. At this point, I actually don't expect it will be. But if it is, it's pretty simple. They already have it in place for Britain. It's just an app. You go in and fill it out. You're typically approved same day or within about 48 hours. And it's built into your passport, and it's good for 2 years, and it's about 20 euros. So I think go ahead.
So I was kind of reading a little bit about Montenegro, and it seemed like you need like a special permission to enter, and is there like separate forms for getting in there? Is that all kind of
Well,
taken care of?
no, but they are not part of the EU, and so I was going to go over that when we cross over that day. But we do have to do a border crossing. It's not like some places in the EU where you just go and it doesn't matter. Because we're going from an EU country to a non-EU, there is a border crossing. So that day, technically it takes about 2 hours to get from Dubrovnik to Budva, although we will have a stop. But it could take 4 because it's a popular time. September still a bit in peak season. sometimes there's a wait, but it's a wait sitting in our air conditioned motor coach. So I just was going to tell people, we don't know exactly what to expect, and to be patient. There is a border crossing, but then you don't need anything more than your passport.
Oh,
If there is more, they take care of it. And yeah, we just need to be patient that day, basically. But
Yeah, going back to the what the special document thing you need, I forget what it's called.
ETIAS.
Yes, if
Yeah.
you already have one for the UK, do you need a separate one for?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Like
you.
I said, I don't know if they'll even have it in place yet. And they were talking about there even being a grace period the first 6 months, but no, they're totally separate, and it's already required for Britain. But that one is called an ETA, and this one is ETIAS. If for some reason you're going to both countries, then like I have another Croatia trip for a group, and one of them is doing a couple days in London. You would need that one. You don't need it to go through the airport. You do need it if you are getting out of the airport. And that's for Britain that we're talking about. Okay, well, let me know if you have any other general questions. Otherwise, I was going to jump into the itinerary. All right. The air is not included, and I've already talked with some people about that. The main thing to know is that you want to go into Split and out of Dubrovnik, and you don't want to book it as 2 one-ways. That's more expensive for Europe. You want it as a multi-city trip, which is typically like a tab, like in United, there's a place where you go to multi-city trip, and so you'll put the date and that you're going into Split, and then the return date. Whether you do the extension or just the main trip, you're leaving out of Dubrovnik. In terms of the border crossing for the return, again, I was going to go over that when we get there, but I think the most decent flight back to the Bay Area is something like 10:30 in the morning. So we will be leaving at something like 4:30 or 5 in the morning. However, it's not a busy time for the border crossing, and it is open 24 hours. I checked that. So we're just gonna be snoozing on that bus, I guess, to make sure that we get there in time. It's not expected to have any wait at that time of the day. A couple of people have already talked to me about, can we just go back to Dubrovnik the night before? And yes, you can. The transfer would be on your own, because for everyone that's going to be on that early morning motor coach transfer back to the airport, I am including that. So if you wanted to deviate, I would need to charge for the transfer. I might be able to work out that hotel being different, though, if you needed the last night back in Dubrovnik. So we can talk about that. But yeah, it just kind of is what it is. When I looked at the air, everything left fairly early. At least decent flights, right? I don't even look at 2 connecting flights or ones that only have an hour connecting or whatever. When you are coming into Europe, your first stop in the EU is where you go through customs. So if you were to have a stop in New York and then land in Split, you would not go through customs until you're in Split. If you were to stop in Munich or Zurich, which I believe are the 2 most common I saw, you would go through customs there. So I don't like less than 2 hours for that. And then you would connect into Split. For what I was seeing, and for some people have already talked to me about this, and if you haven't, let me know and I can send you what I suggest as the flights. One of them got in around 6, I think, and so I'm making our arrival meeting at 8 to accommodate for that. And some people might come in the night before too. There was a flight, I believe, that went through Zurich that got in at 8. I think it arrived at 8. So you would miss the meeting if that's the flight you prefer. As I recall, it had less of a layover than the one that gets in at 6. It's okay. We'll catch you up. You'll meet the tour guide the next day. I mean, it'd be nice if we're all there, but if you prefer that air, it's okay. The airport's not that far from the city too. So it's a fairly straightforward transfer. But I didn't want to make that meeting any later than 8 for the people who already are there. So that's our first day, is just arrival at 8 o'clock. We'll do a meeting and meet our tour director. Typically each day you know, once we get there, they're kind of in charge of our day-to-day itinerary, and typically each day they tell us what to expect for the next day. So I expect that was what would happen at this first night. And it says it includes a welcome drink. So you know, depending what time, if the majority of people are getting in on that 6-ish flight, I would foresee we just do kind of simple dinner at the hotel and have our meeting and call it a night. And then as you go through the itinerary, all of the hotels are on there, and you can always click and then you can see the hotel. This one is 4-star, has a pool, and as I recall, yeah, it's about a 20-minute walk to be in the old town. So the next day, as a group, we have a cooking class and a walking tour. We're going to split into 2 groups, and we'll go to the local market. We'll pick up the ingredients that we'll need for a cooking class, and then we cook the lunch, and then we have that as our lunch. They pair it with some wines, which is nice, and then we will have a walking tour of Split. And the evening is on our own. My trips have varied in how we handle the dinners. On my bigger trips, which I think this one will be, I think will be about 20, 22, then I find it's easier to not try to pre-plan dinners because it's too many people for one thing. And also, if I make a reservation for 22 people, they kind of really, you know, they go out of their way to accommodate that. And if some people wanted to do something different or don't come, now I've let the restaurant down.
Yeah.
Did someone have a question? Sorry. But so what I anticipate happening, and what has happened on trips like this, is, you know, 4 to 6 people after the walking tour might pair off to go shopping or to do whatever, go back to the hotel. And we also have a very active WhatsApp group, and people might say, I'm heading out to dinner at 6, who wants to go? Or I saw a cute restaurant here, planning to go there at 7 or whatever. It works out. No one gets left behind. I particularly try to look out for our solos, and we'll just kind of pair off for dinners in that way, I think, rather than try to do. We have our very last dinner is a group dinner, but all the others are on your own. And sometimes, occasionally, people, I think, Regina, that's traveled with us, every now and then she kind of finds something in advance she wants to go to and sets it up. I'm not a foodie. I'm more the kind that was like, oh, I just look around, that looks good, let's go. But I know for other people, it's more important. They like to plan that out. So I leave that up to you guys. Okay, so the next day we have kind of an all-day tour to Kirkland National Park. That's this park here with the waterfalls. And so we'll be together on the motor coach going out there. We'll have a guide once we're there, and then a little bit of free time as well. And then when we leave, we're going to a local winery. It's a little bit more of a wine tasting paired with appetizers. So there's opportunity for lunch if you needed something more after, because we're going into Trozier for the afternoon. So you don't necessarily have to consider that lunch. I can consider wine lunch, I think, though. So it'll be the national park, the wine tasting, and then onto Trozier, and we have free time there for shopping or getting something to eat, and then back to Split for the evening. So the next day we will have spent 3 nights in Split, and now we'll be changing. We'll be going to Hvar, and that's kind of our beachy time of the trip. We're staying at a resort that does have beach. It also has access to a beach club. It also has a really nice pool. I think I pulled it up here. You can see that. So that's the pool. And yeah, it has a beach in front of it. It's a pebbly beach, which is pretty common for Croatia, but it also has access to a beach club. And for people who went to Greece, I know we did that. Some people did that for 2 days. And it's the same kind of thing. It's actually not an entrance. I looked it up for the beach club, but there is for the lounge beds or for lunch or umbrellas or whatever. But I like them. I like that their service and such. So your afternoon can be spent doing that, and the next day could be spent doing that, or there's optional trips. Sorry, let me get back there. Optional things to do as well. So The next day I have 2 optional trips, and I also set it up that you could do both if you want, because I want to do both. The morning is an e-bike tour with wine tasting and with lunch. So we'll start in the morning. We go to a winery with that. We'll do olive oil and wine tasting. I think somewhere, was it Greece? They actually gave us wine, olive oil tasting in wine glasses. I'd never seen that.
Wow.
Oh, yes, I think it,
And then after that, we go to a family-owned farm and we do a farm-to-table lunch, and that includes some local wines. And then we take the e-bikes back. So that's one option. The second option is I was trying to set it up to kind of be sunset, but I think it's a little earlier than that. A sea kayak tour. So you would take those out around the island. It mentions being able to go swimming, sea caves, that kind of thing. So I think that would be fun.
Is that a guided thing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You don't want me guiding these things. I don't know how I've made it around the world and back. I think I have a better sense of direction than I do. So that evening's on our own again. And then the next day we will take the ferry. Both times to and from Havar, we get there by ferry. And so we'll take the ferry back to the mainland. And then we're going, I had to look up how to say this, and I don't remember, Pelishak Peninsula. And there we're going to do an oyster tasting where they take us out, kind of looks like that on the wooden boat, and you go out to a little wooden dock, and then they pull the the oysters right out of the sea, and we do an oyster tasting. Yeah, so that again, it's not quite lunch, but we're going to have free time. It's up to you. And then we have free time in the town after that, so you can always get another bite to eat there. And then after the free time and the oyster tasting, back on the bus, and we end up in Dubrovnik, where we'll have the evening to ourselves and check into our new hotel. This one is also, yeah, this one was not walking distance to the old town, but it was about a 10-minute cab, which isn't too bad. And then the next day, the thing about I like staying in old towns, but it's hard to get like a dozen rooms with 2 beds usually it's smaller boutique hotels. So the next day though, we do go to the old town. We have a walking tour. We have entrances to several places, including Rector's Palace. Let's picture Dubrovnik. And then I think we have, oh yeah, afternoon is free, but there's 2 optional activities. One is zip line, and we start up, my meeting ends in 10 minutes. We'll start up above Dubrovnik and we zip line down to the sea level. So I think that would be really cool. And then if that's not quite your style, then there's also a panoramic cruise that will take you around the outside of walls of Dubrovnik. I always try to put those active options in there, and I try to encourage people to maybe do something they haven't done before. And actually, most people usually do it, whether it's e-bikes or kayaks or zip line. It's kind of a very fun, supportive environment to try something like that. So I do encourage you guys to try something new. And then that night we will have a farewell dinner. So that's the one dinner you don't want to make other plans for. We'll all be together. It is included, just the drinks aren't included. And then the next day we will either, you could, if you're departing after 7 nights, you can leave anytime and we'll arrange transfers to get you there. Although I still notice the best flights to the Bay Area were around 10:30, 11. Otherwise, as I mentioned, we will be, I'm not sure if we transfer, we probably won't. If we're going into a minibus or staying in the regular motor coach, I think we're staying in the motor coach, but we will continue on together. And this is where I was mentioning it is a border cross, so there may be some delay, but it will just be sitting on the bus. And then on the way to Budva, we make a stop at a winery, and then we'll get into Budva in the afternoon, check into our new hotel. It's 15-minute walk into the old town and a few blocks from the beach. It has a pool, on-site restaurant, all of that. The next day we will tour Budva. This is what part of what Budva looks like. We'll have a morning walking tour of that. And then afternoon afternoon is either free, or this is another opportunity to do something you might not have before. I don't know how many people have done canyoning before. I've done it. Funny thing is, I know Betsy has done it because I set it up for her in Maui, and I did it in Maui and in Utah. And it's kind of a combination of, it's a little bit like rock climbing because you have cables and you're harnessed in and you kind of go down the rocks. But this one also includes some hiking, swimming, sliding down the rocks. So it's going to be a unique experience. There's 3 rappels involved with it. So that again is optional. So you'll either have your afternoon free or your opportunity to do that. The next day we go to Kodar Bay, which will be a tour, and then we through the old town, and then there's a cable car that you can go to that takes you up to the top of the town. And then another thing that's included is we take a boat out to this little island that just has a little church on it. So that's the one thing that's optional here is you'll either have free time in Kotar, or we can do a 2-hour hike that takes you up to the top. And
For one.
because that's optional, you would pay on site. There was a 15 euro fee to do that. And then we'll all go back together to Budva for the night. The next day we're out to Skadar Lake. There we'll do a boat tour on the lake, and lunch is included this day. And then back to Budva. And then the last day, as I mentioned, we'll have that super early morning departure to get everybody back and be able to take those 10:30, 11 o'clock flights. I think I just have a couple minutes left. Any questions on the itinerary?
Quick question. Do people with the optional, excursions, are those all pre-decided like before we go? And yeah, it's not
That's
like
a good question. So when you sign up, you don't have to sign up for them, but you also don't have to pay for them. So it's kind of a good idea to maybe think what you would like to do and sign up for it, because you can change your mind before final payment. In actuality, if you were to have a change of mind, say a week before the trip, I'm sure I could adjust it too. But yeah, they are signed up for ahead of time. But when you make your deposit, you have until final payment to actually pay for it. And typically, I don't know how people will do it in Havar. They might want that beach day, although we have the afternoon the day before. Most people do usually sign up for one of them, I would say.
okay.
Any other questions? Well, I think it's going to be a great trip. I think we have 15, 16 people signed up so far. And I think my max was 22. So we're getting there. So if you know somebody that wants to sign up or watching this, let me know soon.
Do you want our flight and passport number, Kelly?
Passports you would have filled out when you signed
I know.
up.
I didn't have mine at the time, so I can send it to you.
Send it
Now
to
I
me.
have it.
I wonder if it didn't flag it because I had it from before.
It might have been. Yeah, but now I have a new
flights,
one.
Yes, as soon as you have them, please send them.
Okay, I'll email you today.
Okay. And like I said, I'm happy to help figure out flights too for anybody.
Oh, good.
I just
I'll
did the
probably
United
need
one,
you.
as you said.
Everybody wants to know right now if I think it's good to wait or buy them now. And I cannot answer that. If I had to, I would say buy them now, because I think if fuel prices go up, it's going to drive the price up. And because people are in a bit of a waiting pattern. And so the airlines aren't going to have a lot of cash right now. So if I had to guess, I think the prices would be better now. I also think if things, which I like to think will get better, everyone's going to buy them at once. So the worst thing that can happen, and I travel frequently, so I might look at it differently, but I end up with a credit that I'm going to use if you were to commit now and have to cancel it with the airline. Okay. Well, reach out anytime if you have any other questions. And I appreciate you guys all tuning in.
Hi, Kelly. Can you see
Yes.
me?